Now be warned that there will be spoilers for episode 2 of The Bad Batch. Now, the premise of episode 2, or the episode called Cut and Run, is that the Bad Batch is going to Seleucamai to Cut, basically, who is a deserter clone they know really well. And of course, Cut appeared in season 2 of the Clone Wars in one of the episodes where Obi-Wan visits Seleucamai in search of Grievous. And the basic premise of the episode, or the basic conflict of it, is that Cut and his family wants to get off the planet, but the Empire has put chain codes in place for the unique identifications of citizens, and therefore not allowing them to get off easily, if you will. And this kind of focuses on more of the transition from the Galactic Republic to the Empire itself. And also the episode offers a bit more of a lore or world building aspect of the show, as well as just fleshing out Hunter and Omega's relationship, or rather start to flesh out that relationship, that father and daughter relationship that they have. And what was really surprising to me is that the attachment that I felt to the Bad Batch, especially when you consider that this was kind of the second episode of the whole show. And I have to say that the 70-minute premiere episode really established the team well enough, for me at least, to connect to them in a sense, beyond what the Clone Wars did, of course. And the same goes for Omega's character as well, which I found it to be a bit shocking that I could so easily connect to Omega's character and kind of feel her pain and kind of feel her difficulties in a sense and challenges, but it was rather refreshingly well done in a sense. And when it comes to just the Bad Batch and the characters, to me, Wrecker is still one of the highlights of the show, as I thought that his demeanor and humor is always well placed and well executed at the same time. And he's this kind of typical, lovable, big and simple guy archetype, but I never found that to be an issue for me, as he is kind of this 3PO character from the original trilogy, where he is the main source of the humor in the show itself. And I thought that he's just a very lovable and funny character in a sense. But it was still a bit weird seeing clone troopers being employed by the Empire itself. But I'm very glad that we are exploring this time period as well, not just the already established or already adapted or changed Empire, if you will, but how that journey looks like and how it affects the common folk, going from the Galactic Republic of the People to the regime of the Empire itself. And when it comes to the focal point of the episode, now I felt like that the focal point of it was Hunter and Omega's relationship or relation to each other, which I didn't really mention or pick up on my review of episode 1, but here it is the central focus of the episode, and I would guess that it's probably going to be moving forward with the season as well. And when it comes to that whole relationship between the two of them, I thought it was handled rather well, showcasing this fish out of water aspect of both Omega and Hunter at the same time, which was kind of surprising, to be honest, that they went for that one with Hunter as well. As when we're talking about Omega, she's a character that, of course, has never been to other places other than Kamino, so you really see that when she sets foot on Seleucamai or just in solid ground that is not built on Kamino, if you will. And what I meant by the fish out of water aspect is that, of course, Omega doesn't really know or doesn't really have an idea of how the world actually works, as she basically struggles to play ball games, if you will, with the kids. It really hammered home the idea that Omega really doesn't know what is going on. And as I mentioned before, the same kind of goes for Hunter as well, as he has no real idea how to be a parent, as he has always been and has been raised to be a leader of a squad, but not necessarily the father figure of the squads, if you will. And it was a bit heart-wrenching at the same time seeing Hunter wanting the better life for Omega, and with her it was just wanting to stay with Hunter and the Bad Batch, which I thought made a rather compelling conflict for this episode's just on the whole itself. I think it really hammered home what Star Wars actually is, in a sense, or what Star Wars is at its crux. And to me, this father and daughter, or just father and child relationship, harkens back to the Clone Wars when Ahsoka is assigned to be Anakin's Padawan, and neither of them knowing how to handle the situation properly or how they should act in a certain situation, which I think is something that we can all relate to in a way, as we don't necessarily always have the answers for every situation that we are put in, but we are learning along the way as moving on. Of course, this is what we actually saw kind of in The Mandalorian with Din Djarin's character and Grogu's character, this father and child relationship. As I mentioned before, this is kind of the crux of Star Wars, which is family in a sense. It is father and child relationship. And it was surprisingly fitting that we get to see this unfold here as well, although I didn't necessarily expected this to be such an important part, or to be an important part of the show, but it was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one, to be honest. And just a few words about the production value as well. The production value is stellar as always, and sometimes I even forget that I'm watching an animated show, as the animations are just remarkably smooth and look like they are kind of mocapped in a sense. Like, I got a lot of this mocapped feeling in the first episode, so I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if they actually mocapped a lot of the first episode, because it just looked so real and high quality in a sense. And it will be interesting on how the series actually further dives into and explores the transitional period between the Republic and the Empire, as well as the relationship that we see between Hunter and Omega moving forward. But thank you so much for watching today's video. Let me know in the comments down below what did you think of this episode. And if you have enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this one. And I will see you in the next one. And until then, remember to keep it insightful.